What's up, fellow prosperity partners and grow givers? JuJuan Buford, managing partner of JSB Business Solutions Group. And this is really like a part of a series of videos and content I've created over the last week or so, really just focused on one singular fact. And that is most entrepreneurs can't sell. And it is what it is. You know, most people think sales is tactics and strategies and all these different things that they see people do to get people to supposedly put themselves in a position where they can get the bag. And that's just really not the case. Salesmanship is skill trade, right? It's skill trade. And that's why most people aren't what I would say elite at it. We're all good at it. If you've had a girlfriend or boyfriend, you have been good at sales at some point in time in your life. But most of us aren't elite at it, or at least we haven't taken the time to give the thought that we should. And if we did so, it would help us grow our business dramatically. So it's two things I want to talk about. Number one, WIIFT. What's in it for them? The reality is most of us aren't thinking about or aren't talking about or aren't sharing information with our business in such a way where we're clearly communicating what's in it for the person that is sitting across the table, that is engaging us via Zoom, that we meet in an elevator or a coffee shop or whatever the case may be, right? We just haven't taken the time to think about it. So I'll give you a case in point. I was talking to an investment advisor a while back ago, kind of help her work through some things. And I asked her, what do you do? And she says, well, I sell insurance and investment advising products, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I looked at her and I said, what do you do? And she repeated the same thing again. And I said, here's the thing. You are thinking about your business from the standpoint of what's in it for you. That's what you're thinking about. For you, if you sell insurance product, you invest somebody's money in some type of fund or whatever the case may be, whatever your situation is, you're thinking about it from your standpoint. In your mind, that's what you do. But that's not really what you do. That's not really what's in it for the other person listening to you. Instead of saying I sell insurance products, or instead of saying I sell securities or investment products and I'm licensed to do A, B, C, and D and all the other stuff, why don't you just be like, look, what I do is I help parents make better financial decisions. I help them level up, right? Life changes are going to occur. You're going to buy a house. You're going to buy a car. You're going to get married. You're going to get divorced. Your children are going to attend middle school, high school, and college. And along the way, there's some really important financial decisions you need to make in order to make sure that you live a life of prosperity, satisfaction, and freedom. And I help parents. I help individuals navigate those waters. Right? That's one way of articulating what the end game is and what will be of interest to someone listening to you, right? If you're having a conversation with someone who's maybe late 20s, early 30s, they're in a relationship or they're married, or they have children, whatever the case may be, that's going to appeal to them, right? Instead of saying, well, I sell products, right? That's one way of thinking about it. I had a conversation with a lady not too long ago. And to this is somewhat applicable, but you know, she has a co-working space. And we were conversing about how she says, well, I provide space for entrepreneurs to come in and work, to print stuff, conduct their meetings, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm listening to her. And once again, I say, you just told me what you're selling. But what are you providing? Why, as an entrepreneur, would I want to come into your workspace? What are you really doing, right? And without saying names, because some of you will probably figure this out, right? My response was, and I didn't necessarily say this to her, even though I've said it indirectly, but my response has been repeatedly when people have asked me about the space is, look, I love the space. It provides a fun environment with entrepreneurs who are actually leveling up. For me, network is your net worth, right? I believe that. And ultimately, what you want to do is you want to reach up, right? You want to interact with individuals who are actually moving forward with their lives, moving forward with their business. It provides a phenomenal space to do that, to interact and cross-pollinate with entrepreneurs who are leveling up. Besides that, it's incredibly professional, crisp, it's clean, it looks like money. And so if you have higher net worth clients, or sometimes just like you have to dress to impress, sometimes you got to be in a space that impresses too. At least gives people the ideal or the notion that you actually care, right? That you invested in your business. The game recognizes game. People who invest in themselves recognize when other people invest in themselves, right? And people like to do business folks when they like, no one trusts. They tend to like, no one trusts people who share their values and their principles and their beliefs. Right? So this is an important piece. And this is why I love the space, right? That's what you're really selling. Indirectly, I'm winking at somebody I know, right? At the end of the day, that's what's in it for the other person, not what's in it for you. And that's just, once again, one of the biggest mistakes entrepreneurs make. We're thinking about what it is we do. We're thinking about what the end game means for us in terms of the transaction. But what we're really not addressing is the transformation. What we're really not addressing is what that person is seeking. If someone is seeking financial services advice, I'm just going to beat this like a dead horse because it's just top of mind right now. What they're really seeking is safety. What they're really seeking is credibility. What they're really seeking is a relationship with someone that they trust. That a relationship with someone that's going to give them the advice and help them navigate choppy waters. To help them achieve a lifestyle of satisfaction, financial independence, or financial freedom, however you want to articulate. That's what they're really taking aim at the majority of the time. That's what they're looking for. They're not looking for someone to tell them what to do. They're looking to be educated. They're looking for someone who's going to kind of just listen to them and understand what's most important to them, whether it be their children, whether it be achieving a certain degree of net worth, whether it be buying a house, buying a yacht, buying a car, or just knowing that when they turn 65 or 70, or the case may be, that they'll be working because they want to, not because they have to. Right? And that's what you're really selling. You're selling a solution to a specific problem that they have. And that is how you can really change the game in terms of creating more consistent revenue, acquiring more clients on a more consistent basis, right? And you have to understand how to turn that switch, right? When you're listening to someone and become their solution provider, not you're selling products and services. And this impacts your pitch. This impacts how you engage people, whether you meet them randomly at a coffee shop via Zoom, how you show up on social media. It impacts all that, right? And so that's one of the biggest mistakes that I've seen entrepreneurs make, and I wanted to kind of get that out. It's been top of mind, it's been egging me. All right, so here's the other thing. Where entrepreneurs oftentimes make an error in judgment. And this is a big one, right? And it is the failure to define who that person is. It's a failure to define who that buyer persona is. So I'm talking to entrepreneurs, and I'll ask, who's your target market? And they'll say, everybody. And I'm looking like, no, you really don't want to do business with everybody. If you own a barbershop downtown Detroit or downtown Birmingham or downtown Troy, whatever the case may be, and somebody walks into your barbershop and they're $5 short and 30 minutes late, you're really not trying to do business with everyone. So let's cut the BS, okay? But this is the mistake that entrepreneurs make. You have not defined your buyer persona. Because you have not defined your buyer persona, you are not able to articulate a message that is specific, that solves and provides a kind of a solution that your ideal client, the person who's looking for you, the person who makes a blink decision and says, I'm going to do business with you, and the person who has disposable income to pay for your service or product. If you're not clear about that, then you're not going to be able to generate revenues on a consistent basis because you're not speaking to a specific person. You take aim at nothing, you'll hit it every single time. And so look, I get this urge that you want to serve everybody, but you're really thinking about yourself. When you say that, you're thinking about your interests. No, who are the people that you want to help? Who are the people who have a specific problem or problems, or what are the solutions that you're providing to individuals who fit a certain demographic or circumstances? Why does your business exist other than to make a profit? Like, what problems are you solving? And who are you solving those problems for? So I'll give you an example. I was chatting with a lady, and some of you've heard the story before, but I was chatting with a lady who wants to start up a CBD business, okay? And when I asked her, okay, well, why'd you start the business? Who do you serve? Who you want to help? She says, everybody. My favorite, right? Everybody. I'm like, look, how's that working out for you? She says, I'm not getting customers on a consistent basis. And so why do you think that is? She gives me a whole bunch of different excuses. I'm like, it's one of the fastest growing industries in the state of Michigan. Every time I look around Detroit Metro, somebody's smoking something or consuming something, whatever the case may be. So it's not like the customers aren't there. It's not like there's a market isn't there. Now, look, as far as I'm concerned, it's a Red Seas market. I'm not too much interested in some respects, at least not in the way that most people think about it. But the bottom line is, there's not a shortage of people that could be patronizing. So why do you really think you're having troubles with your edible business? And she couldn't say. And I said, well, let me ask you a question. The question I asked was, why did you start it? Because I want to help them know. Why did you start this business? What was the origination story? And then she begins to share how she has a parent who was suffering from a number of illnesses and physical conditions that have pretty much had her domiciled to a chair and maybe to her bedroom for the last several years. Too much pain, too much discomfort to get up. She can kind of sort of take care of herself. She can move around, feed herself, what have you, but you can see the discomfort every time she removes herself from that chair. And she said one day she left some edibles on the table, went to sleep, woke up, they were gone. She's like, oh, snap. Right? We know what happened to the edibles. The parent ate it. But she said something amazing happened. She said later on that day, she saw something that hadn't occurred for a long time. She said she saw her parent actually get up out the chair without pain, go to the bathroom, wash her face, brush her teeth, come back, sit down. And she says, She proceeds to do the same thing a couple of days later. Bought some edibles, created some edibles, however she acquired them, left them on the table. She says, disappears again. She says this time, she sees her parent not only get up out the chair, but actually go to the bedroom to go to sleep for the first time. Then she says, a couple of days later, for the first time, she actually stepped out the door on the porch and breathed in the air. She says she continued to do this every 2 to 3 days, leaving edibles on the table that had been prepared. She said 2 to 3 weeks later, that same parent that was suffering from all these illnesses, all this pain from getting around, all of a sudden now she's asking, hey, you going to the grocery store? Can I come? You getting ready to go here? Can I come? Can you walk with me around the building? Nice little park area. Can you walk with me around the building for a minute? And she says eating those edibles literally changed the trajectory of this woman's life. Before, her life was completely domiciled to basically 4 walls, sitting in front of television, sitting in a chair. Now she's out and about. She's walking around. She's smiling. She's engaging the public. And she said when she saw that, it generated such a feeling of passion and love and appreciation for what, CBD can do for individuals. And she started sharing the story with other people in her community. She started sharing with other friends about how it helped out her parent. And other parents also noticed a change in her parents' behavior and said, what are you taking? What are you doing? And at first, of course, she couldn't tell them because she didn't really realize what was going on. Those must have been some good edibles, so she couldn't really any respect. But literally, this is what inspired her to start the business. And I looked at her and I said, your issue is you've kind of moved away from the thing that jump-started your business. You did not start your business to serve everybody. You started your business to serve that population of elderly individuals who are having difficulties. They were your first customers, your first clients. You start jumping on all these different social media channels and talking to all these supposed gurus, and you started deviating from the formula that brought you your success in the first place. I said, what I need you to do is think critically about how, if you are going to continue to have success, why wouldn't you focus on the market that you're most passionate about? Why wouldn't you focus on the market that's most receptive to your story? Why wouldn't you focus on the individuals who have disposable income, who are looking for your solutions, and who will only blink and make a decision to patronize you? What are you doing? Right? So this is what entrepreneurs do. Okay, this is what entrepreneurs oftentimes do. You haven't clearly defined your buyer persona. You can't make flyers. If these individuals are 70 plus years of age, probably utilizing social media might not be the best way to reach them. Okay, going out and taking flyers and, splattering the neighborhood with the flyers. A lot of these people aren't driving. They're sending their kids out. They're sending, their aunt, uncle, cousin, niece, nephew, et cetera, to run errands for them. Right? Your approaches had to be totally different. And it's the same thing in any business. right? If you're taking aim at individuals, really, if the majority of people are going to patronize you are 30 some odd years of age, or even 20 some odd years of age, well, 20-year-olds move differently than 40 and 50-year-olds. Hang out in different spaces, spend their money different, see the world different. So your marketing, your branding, what you're saying, what you're pitching has to be a direct reflection, has to be something that's palpable to them that they can consume, right? And it keeps going back to this notion once again, as business owners, sometimes, look, even I'm guilty of it. We become guilty of focusing on what the business means to us, but not necessarily being responsive to what it means to them. What's in it for them? What's in it for your buyer persona? You got to define that person, because that determines everything. Once again, it determines your pitch. That determines how you show up on social media, where you show up. A white collar person, looking for a service or product to help them level up, you might have an easier time of finding that person on LinkedIn as opposed to Facebook. I'm just saying. Okay? You're selling clothing, you're selling jewelry or something like that, you're probably going to have an easier time on Instagram and Facebook than you would on LinkedIn. These things matter, right? But you got to know who your buyer persona is. Who are you serving? Not about you, but who are you serving? And speak to that person with passion and vehemence. Talk about how you're here to solve their problem. And that is how you create a more consistent sales cycle. That's how you take on clients, that's how you generate revenues. That's how you create branding. That's how you create trust in the marketplace so people like, know, and trust you, because you're really speaking to specific things that solve their problems, right? And then they're willing to share, because we know sharing is caring, because people will share stuff that they believe is beneficial or useful, people they care about, right? So that's the conversation I wanted to have. I know it's a little bit choppy because all these series of videos have been done at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I can see it in my eyeballs, my goodness. But you got to do what you got to do when you got children, right? In any respect, I celebrate success in advance. Goodbye for now.